Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. Today, we are reading... Wait, I forgot to introduce myself. This is your host. I don't know how to read, by the way. I don't know, Anglo-Saxon Zach. Anyway, today we are reading from r/TalesFromRetail.
And that was my closest approximation of original pronunciation, which is what they would have spoken like in the time of Shakespeare. I said Anglo-Saxon because I'm stupid. But I played all the way through Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and let me tell you, it was amazing. I had an amazing time. I played as Dude Ivor, even though canonically he's a chick. But the dude was so much better. I'm sorry, the chick's voice is just weird. And apparently Odyssey was the exact opposite, and I would have picked Cassandra, but I picked Alexios because my cousin asked me, told me to, and I was like, all right, fine. But anyway, my point is, Hawaiian shirts are for anyone of any age or whatever.
I'm dang.
Did y'all hear something? Alright, this story's called He Thought It Was the Second Coming. This happened years ago when I was working overnights at a 24-hour gas station. It was just south of a major interstate, so even at night there was plenty of business. First, some basics about myself. I'm a guy, 5'10", about 185 at the time. I was in decent shape and 27 when this all happened. The night my story took place, I was finishing up the training of a new overnight employee. They had her come in every day for a week to learn the register and procedures. Then gave her to me for 2 nights to show her the ropes on overnights. We normally worked alone overnight. With her there, I was expected to do things like stock the cooler that she obviously couldn't do while alone. This gave her time to get used to watching the store, but I was close by if needed. While I was in the cooler, she came over, opened a display door, and called out to me that there was a guy in the store with his Richard hanging out. Was that inspired by my censorship of penis? Sighing, I told her I was on my way. In the minute it took me to get back out to the store area, the man had apparently tucked himself back in the pants and gone outside to talk to a pair of cabbies filling up their cabs. This becomes important in a minute. It took you a minute to get out of the cooler? I hope that was just a bad judgment of how long it took, because, like, if I would hope you'd hurry. I go outside to talk to the guy and get him away from the customers. As I get closer, I hear him telling them that Christ has returned and he is being brought back to help spread the good word. Oh, joy. He then goes on to tell them they don't need to pay for anything anymore. Then proceeds to take the nozzles off the gas pumps and lay them on the ground. Naturally, I start picking them back up and putting them where they belong. When he sees me doing this, he runs over to our sign with the gas prices and pulls out the number, throwing them on the ground. Clearly, this guy is a bag of mixed nuts, and it looks like he wants to go back into the store. This is a terrible idea to my mind, because somebody at our corporate level had sent out displays of hand tools, hammers, screwdrivers, and the like, out to the stores. So the last thing I want is this guy getting near a supply of bashing and stabbing implements. So my new game plan is to keep him outside after a quick call over my shoulder for the new employee to call the cops. I found out later that when I did this, both cabbies thought I was making the right call and hit their panic buttons. What a couple of guys. So now our nut job, no pun intended, has decided I'm the enemy and tries to run past me to the store. I'm able to keep in front of him, but he keeps getting closer to me. Finally, he's close enough, he grabs a hold of me, trying to push me out of his way. I also head on to him. Thankfully, we are about the same size, but I weigh more, which allows me to keep him from going anywhere. Remember, I just need him to stay put until the cops get there. I'm not sure what triggered him to say this, but after about a minute of struggling with each other, he tells me I'm not taking him anywhere. Probably stupidly, I replayed I didn't want to take him anywhere, just to keep him right where he was. In response, he tried kicking me. Thankfully, we were close together for what he was trying, and I used the opportunity to push him back. Not hard enough to make him fall, but enough to get him stumbling backwards to put more distance between him and the store. I kept this up until we reached the wood chip-filled decorative area at the edge of the parking lot. He fell into it, and I sat on him to keep him in place for the cops. I'm not sure how long we were like that, but he was punching me the whole time. One shot was good enough to knock out one of my contacts. The entire time he's doing this, I block what I can, but out of fear for going to jail for beating up a crazy person, I don't swing back. Finally, gloriously, the cops arrived. I say finally, because while in reality it was probably only a couple of minutes from the 911 call to their arrival, it felt much longer to me. Apparently because they had gotten not one, but 3 911 calls in less than 30 seconds from our location, my fellow employee and the 2 cabbies, the cops had sent 4 cop cars each with 2 officers. When both I and the crazy guy see them, we break apart. At the time, he points at me and tells them to arrest me. I'm selling things. I can't imagine any Karen out there being any more convinced they were in the right than this guy. But his attitude changed in an instant when 4 of the officers moved towards him. 2 other officers come to talk to me and look me over because I looked like I had just gotten out of a prize fight, while the last 2 officers went to take statements from my coworker and the cabbies. The full aftermath didn't hit right away. The man was arrested, he put up a hell of a fight with the cops. He was sent for a 30-day psychiatric evaluation, and I found out later he was committed by the state. I love commitment. Just kidding, it terrifies me. The store general manager lived about an hour away, so she had the assistant manager come in to see if I was okay to finish my shift. Nice, what a gal. I chose to work it. I wasn't gonna let that guy beat me. The incident caused corporate to install the first gas station pay window in the town because of the beating I took. It was to the point the 2 cops talking to me asked me why I hadn't fought back, and I explained the reasons I mentioned above. To which one replied, given some of the dirtbag ambulance chasers out there, it was probably the safer move. The company paid for my medical bills and even paid for replacement contacts. Except for some heavy bruises that called for some Tylenol with codeine, I came out okay. I did have to go through having a rather embarrassing set of pictures taken of the bruises by the cops. They did it on our back room while the assistant manager watched the store. The new employee decided she couldn't feel safe at nights and ended up working a second shift for about 6 months before changing stores. As for me, it made me reevaluate my definition of crazy because I realized that up until that day, I had never seen the real thing. Thanks for listening and sorry for any spelling or grammar errors. Well, guy, I gotta say, way to take a beating like a champ. But I suggest investing some time in learning Aikido. You know, if you don't want to hit back, just let them hit themselves in a very beautiful way. Alright, this story's called Don't Throw My Groceries. This happened years ago, so it won't be verbatim. Apologies in advance. When I was 17, I was working in a large chain grocery store as a cashier. I've been working there since I was 16 and continued to work there until I was 18. I'm autistic and cry when I'm super stressed or frustrated. I can't control it or hold it back. It just happens. This one fateful day, I was nearing a holiday. Which holiday it was, I can't remember, but the store was extremely busy. I arrived for my shift after being dropped off by the school bus and clocked in. The front-end manager instructed me to hop onto one particular register that was known to be one of the busiest. Great, I thought. I expected a wave of non-stop customers until I clocked out at 8 p.m. And so I proceeded to take customers. Hello, how are you? Did you find everything okay? You have your store card? Is there anything at the bottom of your card, paper, plastic bags. This went on for a few hours, with most of the customers either helping me bag their items or insisting on bagging them all themselves. Some customers have a particular way they like their things bagged, and who am I to argue? About halfway through my shift, along came a couple with 2 carts overflowing with groceries. I already knew this wasn't going to be a quick transaction, and with no bagger available to help bag, that would mean I'd have to stop scanning to bag items. I started scanning their items and placing them in the bagging area. After one cart was empty and I had the majority scanned, the bagging area was piled high with groceries, and the man stood there watching me while his wife unloaded the other cart. He didn't help bag, didn't put any bags I did pack in his cart, just watched me. Because of how busy the store was, I was trapped in my register and could not put the bags into the cart myself. Eventually, I didn't have much room to put anything, so I had to stand on my toes to try and reach a spit to put things. At one point, I had to very lightly toss a loaf of bread on the top of the pile. This, apparently, was the wrong choice.
Excuse me, but why are you throwing my groceries? I'm paying good money for this crap. I don't need you breaking it all.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I hadn't realized I'd thrown it. I'll be more careful. Again, I apologize. I started to try and be extra careful with his groceries while I scanned. The pile kept growing, and he still did not bag anything. I placed another item on the pile, and it caused a small landslide of groceries.
I told you not to throw my groceries. Get your manager now.
I hit the button for my manager, and she appeared within minutes. What's going on, Pokemon?
This little bimbo is throwing my items.
I'm not sure what happened after this, as I started crying. My manager told me to go to the bathroom and clean myself up and come back when I feel better. I did just that and was gone for about a half hour before I was able to calm down. When I came back, the store was magically no longer as busy, and my manager bought me a bottle of water. Cool guy manager, lame dude guy, man, I guess. Also, OP freaking champion. Everyone's a boss here except for the dude and the wife for allowing that dude to cuss at OP. Also, yeah, that's it. This story's called Lady Attempted to Spit on Me. A few months ago, around the end of November, beginning of December, a woman came into the girls' clothing store I worked at. Now, the store I worked at recently closed due to being bought out. A lot of people were mad about that, yelling at the employees and demanding explanation. I wasn't a manager or anything, so I didn't really know much, just what I was told. So all I knew was that any purchase made after November 12th was final sale. No returns or exchanges. The registers are also set up where we have signs saying all sales are final, and we have plexiglass between the cashier and customer. This lady came into the store and she looked pretty put together and wealthy. She was wearing form-fitting jeans, a sweater, and had nice makeup on. In my area, we require masks or face shields, so she had a face shield on. It comes into play later. She also had 2 girls with her, probably 9 and 5. Both of the girls were also nicely dressed. She walked around for a bit before finally choosing a set of PJs. She walked up to my register and paid for her things, with me telling her 2 times verbally that all sales were final. We tell them all sales are final before they pay, and again when we mark their receipt final sale. She acknowledged me, paid, and went to walk out of the store. On her way out, she stopped and looked at the PJs again. She seemed to find another set she liked. So she walked back up to the register. I took her to my register, assuming she wanted to buy the other set. But she slammed the bag of purchased PJs down and the other set on the counter and said, "I want to
to exchange these.
I looked at her and said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but all sales are final, so I'm unable to do that. She didn't like that answer and started saying,
I didn't even leave the store. I just bought these. Do it.
I explained to her again that I'm unable to do that. We didn't even have the option on the register anymore. She got more and more visibly aggravated with me. She kept demanding that I exchange the items using so many different excuses like,
I just bought them. They're the same price. I didn't even leave. You didn't even tell me it's final sale,
etc. Keep in mind, there are signs all over the place saying final sale, and I told her 2 times. I kept telling her over and over that I couldn't exchange them, but would be happy to ring it up in a separate purchase for her. She wasn't having it. She eventually slid her face shield up and spit in my direction. Yikes! The spit landed on the plexiglass and not on me. But at that point, I wasn't taking it anymore. I'm not sure if she knew the plexiglass was there or not, but either way, I was done. I called my manager over and calmly explained the situation to her before stepping back. Now, my manager is a very mama bear type. If someone messes with her employees, she doesn't take it. She took one look at the customer and said,
You have 5 seconds to leave the store, or I'm calling security to come in here and drag you out.
The customer was taken aback for a bit, but eventually grabbed the PJs she purchased and stormed out. Her daughters just looked scared and embarrassed of their mom the whole time. The store closed shortly after that, so I'm not sure if anything ever came of it, but let's just say I'm glad I don't work in retail anymore. First of all, badass Miss Manager Lady, I like her. Second of all, I feel so bad for those kids. Third, I need to learn to count. Fifth, the mom sucks. Alright, this story's called Department Store is Sold Out of Everything! At the service desk, my coworkers and I kept tally of the number of calls asking for various items after we sold out over the past 4 days. We had pretty bad weather of snow and freezing temperatures, and it was all gone on the first day. Ice melt / sand, 1,020, heaters, 860, shovels, 150, heat tape, 120, kerosene, 350. If any of our other stores had it in stock, they didn't. 1,350. Sleds, 110. Our store doesn't sell sleds. We had to sometimes have a dedicated person on the phone to answer and say, hello, how can I help you? No, we are sold out. You're welcome, on repeat, back to back throughout the day. Even worse is we have no idea when we'll have it back in stock. None of our night crew is able to come in because the melting snow freezes over, so it's unsafe to have stocking employees drive to work overnight. The delivery trucks can't make it over either. So please, next time you hear you're getting inclement weather, buy ahead of time and don't wait until it's too late. FYI, not in Texas, thank goodness. It's north of there, where, surprisingly, this weather is actually kind of common. Also, not trying to discredit my business here, we were pretty blindsided by how bad it was and how unprepared the customers were. Plus, our staff came up with really inventive solutions like using damp rid for salt and mineral spirits for kerosene. Oh my gosh. As a resident of Texas, it's nar how freaking unprepared we are as a state for any sort of freezing temperatures. Like, it's terrifying, honestly. It's really bad at how bad we are at handling things, and it causes a lot of destruction and death, sadly. And a lot of the time, it's not even the victim, or like, you know, someone who gets hurt might not even be at fault. They could be driving as safe as possible, and some reckless dude who doesn't know how to drive on ice or whatever decides to not care, and they crash into someone else. And it sucks because there's not anything you can do to protect yourself from the idiocy of others besides just, you know, not going out. But sadly, not everyone has that privilege. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.